To adding rain into this image, I provided few AXR files for you. Of course, you could use them for blending. I generated them with 3ds Max. Simply drag and set on lighten. And we could add effects. But I will mention you to how create some rain effects in Photoshop. So I delete this layer. Of course, you could use some very simple techniques like adding noise and motion blur, but honestly, they are not so realistic. If you observe a raindrop carefully, usually they have depth and the raindrops usually have some mass. So I will show you few simple techniques to create a raindrop. I create 4000 with 3000 and resolution 300. Create a new layer. Of course, there are many techniques to do that, but first I will show you the simple technique. First, press Ctrl or Command I to make your background layer black and set foreground color to white. I usually not using the brush for creating raindrop because they have some anti-aliasing. I select pencil. As you see, there is no anti-aliasing. It is very crisp. Press F5 from your keyboard or go to Window menu and brush settings. Here I could add spacing more. For shape dynamic section, increase the size jitter value. Also enable scattering for both axis and scatter. Let's try. Not bad. As I mentioned before, the far raindrops usually are smaller, so start to dragging. Don't add too much, just few simple clicking and dragging. And you could even make them smaller. Because my document size is too large, scattering is not too far, so particles are so close together. I think that's fine. Now go to filter menu, stylized. As you see, my wind option is disabled because my image color depth is 16-bit. So go to image mode and set on 8 bits for channels. Now again, filter, stylized and wind. It doesn't matter direction left to right or right to left. Okay, if you note that the value is too low in the earlier versions, shortcut of repeat last filter is Ctrl or Command F. In Photoshop CC is Alt Ctrl or Option Command F. So I hold on the Ctrl Alt or Command Option on Mac and press F for several times. Okay, I think this is fine. Now press Ctrl or Command T and start rotating. Not vertically, with diagonal angle. Alright, hold on the Alt or Option key and copy again. Press Ctrl or Command E to merge these two layers together. And now go Filter, Blur, and Motion Blur and try to find out if it's similar angle. Don't add too much, something like maybe 150 is enough. Okay. Now I could simply drag these raindrops into my file document. Yes, because the color depths are different. Photoshop shows the warning. And something like lighten is good. And decrease the opacity. Duplicate your layer. Press Ctrl or Command T and rotate a bit to have some more different variation. and maybe smaller with less opacity. And note that when your raindrops are closer to camera, the motion blur effects are stronger. So I could duplicate my layer again, press Ctrl or Command T, make them bigger, and even a bit rotation to get more variation. Maybe something like that. And add more blurriness for that. Filter, blur, and motion blur again. Before and after. Maybe stronger. And decrease the opacity. You could add your depth of rain more and more, smaller and smaller. It doesn't matter. Maybe something like that. Hold on the alter option and clone it to fill your whole document. Alright, Control or Command E to merge them together. Allow me to check. Yes, it's much more realistic. And that's fine.